Whenever we listen to the Gospel of John, besides the surface story, there is always a theological undercurrent, a story within a story. So we hear the story today of the man born blind whom Jesus heals. One thing to keep in mind about this story, at least for our perspective on that level, is that Jesus came down to the level of the man born blind to heal him. You and I can see. So, if I came and I healed, Charles would be able to see my hand. He would be able to see my face. He would be able to tell that I wasn't joking, that I was being serious, etc., etc., etc. The blind man couldn't tell that. He can, though, hear, feel, and smell, and use basically all of his senses except his sight to comprehend what's going on. So Jesus gets down. You can probably hear him, getting the mud ready. The earthy smell is probably coming up. And the guy feels it on his eyes. He feels the wetness. He feels the warmth. He feels Jesus' touch. And when Jesus asks him, go to the pool of Siloam and wash, what do you think happens when he first opens his eyes? He's ecstatic. Now, for our benefit, let me ask you this as something to think about today. We are called all to be Christ for one another, are we not? Yes. When we present the gospel through our lives to other people, when necessary, like Jesus, do we go down to the level of the people that we are ministering to? If we don't, we have a superiority complex. And if we feel superior, we're not Jesus. So John's message, on one level, be Christ for others. Not that they have to come up to your standard, but that you go down to theirs, just like he came down from heaven for us. That's one level. The second level is one of faith. Look at the blind man. He was interrogated 3 times. The first time by his peers. What happened to you? What's going on? How can you see? And the first stage of who he is one of surprise. One of being, totally overwhelmed. He knows that God gives miracles. All of us know that. But he's the recipient of one. And his first reaction is joy. I can now see. What happened to you? I can see. Well, who did it? It was that Jesus fellow. Where is he? I don't know, but I can see. They take him to the Pharisees, probably so that he can prove to them that he is no longer a sinner, Remember when Jesus healed the lepers? He said, go to the priest. That should be enough for them. They take him to the Pharisees. But instead of rejoicing with him, how can you see? Why are you seeing? Who did this to you? How did he do it? He did it on a Sabbath. He's not supposed to do that. And the guy is beginning to realize, you know what? These people who are supposed to be holy don't care about me seeing. They're just angry at Jesus. The third time, after they go after his parents, they come back. They start ridiculing him again. Says, hey, you're still a sinner. We don't care what happened. You were born blind. You'll always be blind, so to speak. And he starts thinking to himself, wait a minute. Who's blind here? I received a miracle. I saw God. I'm giving glory to God. Can't you see what's going on in front of you? He finds Jesus. Do you believe in the Son of Man? Yes. But I don't know where he's at. I'm him. He bowed down and worshiped. For us, we receive healings constantly from God. Do we see them? Do we see God working? Do we give praise and glory to God for those miracles? Do we worship God for those miracles? Are we thankful for those miracles? Are we humble for those miracles? It's very easy for us to say, you know what? I'm good. I come to church, I pray, I do this, I do that. I'm good. But remember what Jesus said to the Pharisees that were with him. If you were blind, there would be no sin. But because you say, we see, your sin remains. If all of us would think that we're fine in our religion, we're the Pharisees. If we say, though, I think I'm okay, am I? That little question, am I? You're open to the possibility of change. The theology is, do we see the light of faith, or are we blind to faith? Do we see and recognize God's goodness, or are we too proud and, like the Pharisees, reject when God's working in their midst? That's the question for all of us to ponder. At times, we can be Jesus. At times, we can be the blind man. At times, we can be the Pharisees. Hopefully, through God's grace, we'll once again be healed and once again have our eyes and hearts opened to the love of God.